amplifiers. So we have begin with the classification of power amplifiers. So when we are discussing with the power amplifier configurations, so we have come across 4 different types of output stage can be classified into 4 different types of power amplifiers. So they are nothing but a Class A power amplifier, Class B, Class AB, Class C power amplifier. So when we are discussing about Class A amplifier characteristics, how the classification has been done. So classification has been classified based upon the um, operating angle, right? So operating angle, if the operating angle is a complete over 360 degrees, so such a way that when you are going to operate the power MOSFET or power BJT amplifier, so that the selection of Q point is around the center of the load line, then means you will be getting that means you will be getting a complete cycle of the output signal for a given input signal. So for a given input signal, you will be getting a complete output signal. Based upon that, you can say that the Class A amplifier consists of is going to operate with an complete 360 degree. Okay, so next when it comes to the classification of the Class B amplifier, so in this classification of the Class B amplifier, we have seen that the Q point which you are going to select is at the cutoff region. So that means around, so if you can consider here, so if it is a x-axis, y-axis, if you are going to consider an amplifier, so I'll just go through with the previous figures. So when we are considering the operating angle, so when we select the Q point exactly at the center, then you'll be getting the full amplification around the output, so that you'll be getting a complete 360 degree of operation. So when the Q point is selected at the cutoff region, so and when the Q point is selected exactly at the cutoff region, that means you will be getting for a given input full cycle, you will be getting only the positive peak of the input positive peak of the input signal will be getting as output, whereas the negative peak of the signal will be getting as 0 because of the selection of Q point at saturation at the cutoff region. So in this type of amplifiers, what we are going to do is in order to get a full wave output signal, so you can go with another Class B amplifier, which is going to work with respect to negative half cycle of the input signal. So whenever it is going to have a negative half cycle, so it is going to provide another negative amplifier, negative output signal you will be getting generated, so that you will be getting for a given input signal full complete output waveform you are going to get. So that type of configuration is called as a push-pull configuration. We are going to see in detail how we are going to realize for the Class B amplifier. So for that Class B amplifier, so you are going to select the Q point at the cutoff region. So now in that Class B amplifier, you will have some drawback. So that drawback, in order to overcome that drawback, so what we are going to do in the Class AB amplifier is, so it is just to minimize or overcome the drawback which is present in the Class B amplifier. So we are going to select the Q point just above the cutoff region, so that it will be less than the center of the load line, and the selection of Q point will be above the cutoff region, so that what we can observe is so you'll be getting the output waveform for a given input signal waveform. So you'll be getting the output as expected in the previous case. So you'll be getting 1/2 cycle as output. So in this case, you'll be getting a little more than 180 degrees. So that you will be having the output waveform to be varying between pi to 2 pi. So that means greater than 180 and less than 270 degrees. So in that case, you are going to see that the operation. So you are going to have an advantage compared to that of Class B amplifier, and you can still increase the efficiency over there in that case. So what will happen in the Class C amplifier? So Class A, Class B. So Class A at exactly at the center of the load line, Class B at the cutoff point, and the Class AB. So it will be just above the cutoff point, so that you are going to see the output waveform. And Class C means you will be having less than cutoff point. So when you are going to have a less than cutoff point, obviously you can say that when you select the Q point at the cutoff, you will be getting half of the cycle of the output you will be getting. Whereas when you select the below the cutoff point, means obviously you will be getting the output waveforms which is going to be shown over here. So this is for a class A amplifier which is going to operate for one full half cycle, one full cycle. You will be getting one full cycle output swing with the amplification you will be getting. Whereas class B amplifier, so you can see the output will be varying between only for one half cycle, so that you will be having 0 to pi. So this is only one. So remaining half cycle of the input you will be having a 0 as the output. And in the third case, when the selection of Q point is just above the cutoff point, that means you will be getting the output to be varying just above this one, so that you can see a full half of the cycle of the positive input is there, and the negative portion of the input cycle also you will be getting partially. So you can see this amount of negative half cycle of the input you will be getting as the output over here. So which concludes that so you're going to have an output greater than pi and less than 2 pi. So operating angle will be more than pi, so 180 degree. And when the operation point or the Q point, if it is being selected less than the cutoff point, so below the cutoff point, if you are going to select the operating point, then you will be getting the positive peak of the input signal will be getting as output over there. So what for a given full input cycle, so that too only the positive half cycle you will be getting initial beginning of the time, so you will be not getting any output. So only the peak portion of the input will be available at the output over here. So the operating angle will be less than pi only. So after that, full during the negative half cycle, will be not getting any output at the same time. So only after the positive input cycle greater than 2 pi, so your output will get started increasing. So this is what you will be getting as class A, class B, class AB, as well as class C amplifier output. So with this basic knowledge, we have started with the class A amplifier. So in the class A amplifier, so it is nothing but the circuit diagram which resembles to that of a simple emitter follower circuit. So we can use a simple emitter follower. So wherein that we can exclude this and we can get the output as well. But the thing is that since it is a class A amplifier, and we can say that for a class A amplifier, you can get this emitter follower configuration. So if you design the circuit, so or RC coupled amplifier you can go for, or you can go with the emitter follower configuration. You can go for a output stage of an amplifier for a class A amplifier. So in that case, what will happen? So for a transistor Q1, so you can give the input at the base of the transistor Q1, and at the output you are going to collect will be taken at the emitter. So where in which you are going to connect a load resistance RL. So in this emitter follower configuration, if so for a time being you just assume that here there will be no another transistor Q2 as well as biasing of the Q3, that is the reverse biasing of the diode Q3, as well as R is absent. So if you are going to just consider simple emitter follower configuration, means during the positive half cycle, so positive half cycle of the input you will be getting the output as same as that of the input, right? So because you will be having only the voltage drop of VB1, which will be very small approximately, so that the output will be having same as that of input. So during the positive half cycle, and you will be getting the output voltage. So as resemble to that here, so as you increase the input voltage greater than VB1, so you will be getting the output as expected as shown in the transfer characteristics. So in that configuration, so if you consider, so this is the transfer characteristics for the input voltage for a given positive voltage input. So for a given positive voltage input, you can see the behavior of output with respect to input. You can see this transfer characteristics over here. And then now if this circuit is absent, so what will happen during the negative half cycle of the input? So during negative half cycle of the input, so you will be having less than VB1, right? So first of all, it requires a positive voltage, and that through positive voltage greater than VB1 it is required. So then only you will be getting output. Suppose if it is a negative voltage, means obviously this will be going to be in cutoff state. So obviously the output of voltage, so you will be getting as 0. So in order to avoid that, so what you are going to do is, so for a given emitter follower configuration, so this is the remote emitter follower configuration. For this emitter follower configuration, so during the negative half cycle, because we require what type of amplifier it is, so for a given full wave of the input cycle, so you should require for full complete output you need to get as an output. So if this simple emitter follower, if you are not, if you are considering only this emitter follower configuration, transistor Q1 and load resistance RL is just as if it is connected, means you will be not getting during the negative half cycle. So in order to get the output during the negative cycle of the input, so we need to bias this transistor Q1 with a constant bias current circuit. So this below circuit, whatever you have considering, that is a transistor Q2. so which is being given with a negative power supply. So and it is where the base of this is a transistor is operated with a reverse bias, so that you're going to apply a reverse base to emitter voltage is supplied, and it has been delivered from the negative power supply for because of this reason. So the current across the transistor Q2 will be constant, and that current flowing across this circuit will be constant, I will be flowing. So even though when the negative cycle of this during the negative cycle of this is off, so since it is going to have delivering transistor Q2 is going to be delivering a constant current, so you can guess the output voltage V0 will be equal to I into RL. So I into RL will be the current that will be going to get. So because of that you will be getting the output during the negative of cycle as well. So for that reason, so we are going to establish a, a constant current circuit at the emitter at the end of the emitter transistor Q1. We are going to develop a constant biasing circuit is obtained. So for that reason, so when you employ this circuit, so what will happen? So for a given full wave of input signal, so during the positive cycle, so it will be delivering from the positive VCC as output, and during the negative half cycle of the input, so this transistor Q2, it is going to deliver because of the negative power supply, so it is going to deliver during the negative half cycle because of the constant current flowing, so it is going to make. So suppose even though it is off, even though transistor Q1 is off, so Q2 will be providing the output voltage. So what we are going to do from this circuit analysis is, so what will be the emitter current? So IE1 will be equal to, it is a difference of IE minus IL, so that IE plus IL. So this same current it is flowing across this IE as well as the IL. So it will be equal to IE1 will be equal to I plus IL. So this equivalent current IE1 will be equal to the sum of these two current. And then whenever the transistor Q1 gets cut off, so whenever the transistor gets Q cut off, so this will be going to drive the load, so it is going to provide the load current will be IL into RL, or else you can say that the current IE is going to flow across the RL. So I into RL will be getting as a output. So whenever before it gets saturated, so this current is going to be flown will be determined by the minimum as well as the maximum negative in the direction current. So that you can see over here. So output voltage, so during the positive input cycle, so VB1, so for a given input voltage, it is going to increase in a linear way, and then when the transistor gets saturated, so transistor enters into saturation region, so the output will be equal to what? So VCC minus VCE saturation. So because collector to emitter voltage will get saturated, that means the transistor Q1 will get saturated, means so it will be the output voltage V0. So when you apply the KVL across output side, so V0 will be equal to VCC minus VCE1. So VCE1 means it will be equal to the output voltage. This is the positive output voltage saturation you will be getting. That is equal to VCC minus VCE1 saturation. And during the negative half cycle, if we consider, so you will be having two cases. So one case is what? So since it is going to current is going to start flowing across the load resistance RL, so it is going to have a I into RL as the minimum value of the negative current that is going to have. So during the negative half cycle, so during the negative cycle, you will be getting the minimum value as this. So till it get the transistor get enter into the cutoff, or when the transistor Q2 enters into the saturation. So saturation means you will be getting the maximum voltage swing in the negative direction, and this is the maximum output voltage in the negative, minimum output voltage in the negative direction will be resembled as I into RL. So that is the current that is I that is flowing in across RL, or else the maximum will maximum negative voltage will get swing when the transistor Q2 enters into saturation. So that will be equal to minus VCC minus of VCE minus of minus VCE. So it will be getting as minus VCC plus VCE2 saturation. So this is about the negative voltage, that is transfer characteristics for a given emitter follower configuration for this class A amplifier. So okay, so this is about the transfer characteristics. So now if we look at the so the same thing you can see, this is nothing but a positive output voltage saturation in positive direction, and the negative output voltage in the direction will be given with a minus VCC plus VCE2 saturation. Okay, so this is about the transfer characteristics. Now we will move to the so signal waveforms. So how the signal waveforms is going to vary and how you are going to get. So before we need to calculate what is the amount of DC supply power to the load. So DC as well as the AC supply delivered to the load. So DC supplied and AC power delivered to the load, and we need to calculate the conversion efficiency as well for the class A amplifier. So for signal waveforms, we are going to see in this signal waveforms, you can see this is the maximum output voltage swing. So from the output voltage, we can see V naught will be equal to V naught maximum will be getting at what? So VCC minus VCE saturation. That means approximately you will be getting as VCC as a positive direction as well as in the reverse direction. So maximum output voltage in the reverse direction will be equal to minus VCC. Correct? So this is what you'll be getting. So V naught maximum will be equal to VCC minus VCE1 saturation. So VCE saturation will be so 0.1 to 0.3 volts. So that of the input. So you can see that VCC minus that is the VCC will be the positive saturation, and the same way. So this will be the positive saturation voltage, and this will be the negative saturation voltage. So that will be the output voltage for a given input signal. So you'll be getting this as a sinusoidal output voltage, which is nothing but having a peak voltage of positive VCC and a negative peak voltage of minus VCC. You will be getting. So it's clear. So this is going to have one complete cycle. So you'll be getting VCC, the time peak to peak voltage will be equal to what? So VCC minus of minus VCC. So that means you'll be having 2 VCC. Okay. So if we consider the saturation, so this is nothing but V naught. So output voltage will be a time varying output voltage you'll be getting with respect to time. And now if we consider the output voltage, that is a collector to emitter voltage 1. So that means because of transistor Q1. So what will be the output voltage? So at the initial beginning, so when Vi is equal to 0, so when Vi is equal to 0, so you can see that VCC minus VCE is equal to V out. So it will be having what? So at no input signal. So at no input signal, so obviously, so V in is equal to 0 means that is a sinusoidal signal if it is 0. So that means I am not applied any AC signal source. Because of DC source supply voltage itself, you will be getting some output. So that output will be equal to what? So that will be equal to VCC, because we have seen V naught max will be equal to VCC minus VCE. So we can say that since if input voltage is equal to 0, so what is the output voltage? Output voltage will be also be equal to 0. So what will be the collector to emitter? So it will be equal to VCC. So as you increase the input voltage, so that means when Vi is equal to 0, because of operating point being selected at the center of the load line, so you will be getting some output that is be equal to VCC. So as you increase, so this is the output voltage, right? So do not compare this with this one. So what is the collector to emitter voltage we need to find? So what is the collector to emitter voltage we need to find? So VCE1 will be equal to what? So VCC minus V naught. Okay, so VCE1 is equal to what? So VCC minus V naught. So if you are not given any input signal, V naught will be 0. So VCE1 will be equal to VCC. So as you increase the input voltage, so we have given that slope is equal to 1, right? In the transfer characteristics we have seen, so the slope is going to equal to 1. So for a given input voltage, the output voltage is also going to be in a linear way means. So input voltage and output voltage will be having slope 1 means so uniformly it is be linear. So as you increase the input voltage, so output voltage is also going to increase. So collector to emitter voltage 1 of transistor Q1, it is going to reduce from VCC because VCC minus of V out. So you can say that whenever the input voltage is completely input voltage is equal to VCC, then VCC minus VCC it will be getting 0. And like this you can see, and during the negative cycle it is going to add up with the plus VCC and you will be getting the maximum voltage. So during the positive swing is maximum output voltage during the positive swing is plus VCC. So VCE1, the collector to emitter voltage 1 will be equal to VCC minus of maximum output voltage is what? So VCC. So VCC minus VCC will be getting 0 as this collector to emitter voltage, right? So when you increase the negative in the when you increase the input signal in negative direction, so what will happen? So negative direction will increase madaka. So it may reach up to negative voltage will be reaching up to minus VCC, right? So minus VCC it is going to reach. So VCC minus of V minus VCC, you will be getting 2 times of VCC as the output voltage, output collector to emitter voltage for transistor Q1. So this is the voltage versus time graph of the collector to emitter voltage of transistor Q1. So transistor Q1 only collector to emitter voltage. Similarly, so this is the output voltage. So similarly, the current IC1 is also going to be calculated. So VCE into, so this is what you're going to get. So for a given quiescent point, so since it is being selected at corresponding to Q point exactly at the center, so the current will not be starting at 0. So even if input voltage is 0, so input voltage is 0, so output there will be current flowing because of the power supply. So because of power supply, you can see this is the amount of power supply is there. So for that ICQ, we will be getting as the output. So after that, as you increase the input voltage, the current is also going to increase in the linear way, because the transistor Q1 will be forward biased. Since it is going to be forward biased, the current will start increasing in a linear way. So so it is going to reach maximum up to what? So it is going to maximum reach to up to 2 times of I, and then it will be falling up to 0. So this is what the current graph for the transistor Q1, that is for IC1. So IC1 is the collector current one. So because of which you are going to find out the current. So current will be starting increasing from I, and it is going to increase, and it will be having the output with respect to similar to that of input voltage waveform. So you will be getting, this is the output current expression. And if I want to find out what is the PD, so PD is nothing but what? So PD is nothing but, so power supply. So that is the output output voltage with respect to output current. So V0 into IC1. So that means you will be getting VCC into I. So at this beginning, so this is nothing but VCE into I1. So you will be getting this as a collector to emitter voltage. This is the output voltage, output across the transistor Q1. So VC1 into I. So you will be getting what? So VCC into I. So you'll be having at this point whatever the VCC is there, so you'll be getting VCC into I as a power. So as you increase the input voltage, so your power is also going to reduce. So input the voltage, so because this is a static power dissipation. Okay, so static power dissipation means when Vi is equal to 0, so the power supply delivered to the load will be equal to VCC into I, because of the operating DC operating point itself. So you'll be getting VCC as the output voltage, and I is the current that is flowing. So you'll be getting VCC into I. But as you increase the input voltage, since the current will start flowing across here, so your output voltage will start reducing. So output voltage will start, or your collector to emitter voltage will start reducing. Means you can see the power dissipation in dissipation is also going to reduce. And as you increase in the negative direction way, so when you start increasing the negative direction way, so you can increase you can see there is increase in the power dissipation in the opposite way. So in this way you are going to get the output for the power dissipation. So PD1. Okay, so this is about the signal waveforms for the class A emitter follower configuration. So is it clear? So we'll just move to the next one. So the maximum signal waveform in class A output stage under the condition I is equal to VCC by RL. So this is nothing but the ICC is equal to VCC by RL. So this is because of the DC condition. So because of the DC conditions, you will be getting I is equal to VCC by RL as the amount of current which has been generated because of the operating point being selected. So RL will be equal to VCC by I. So this is a load, so across which the current is going, so VCC by I. So now, if we consider the output power, instantaneous output power dissipation. So as I mentioned in the fourth figure, so VD is this is not VD, this is the power dissipation PD. So this is nothing but PD1. So power dissipation in one transistor will be equal to VCE1 into IC1. So if I multiply the collector to emitter voltage with the collector current of the transistor 1, so you will be getting the power dissipation, which will be equal to PD1, so which will be equal to VC1 into IC1. So since it is been represented, because it is going to have both AC signal quantity as well as the DC signal quantity, so we are going to have instantaneous power dissipation in transistor Q1. So we are going to represent as instantaneous power dissipation, because so for a given circuit, so we are going to give input signal, which is a sinusoidal signal, which is nothing but AC signal. Along with that, a DC biasing condition has been done. So the power dissipation is also called as instantaneous power dissipation, which is given by PD1, which is nothing but multiply of VC1 and IC1. So this is the signal waveform. So multiply VC1 with IC1. So you will be getting the power dissipation PD1. So this is what the instantaneous power dissipation which has been given over here. So this is about all the signal waveforms for a class A amplifier for a common emitter follower configuration. So now we will go to the power dissipation factor. So we need to find out how much the power dissipation. This is instantaneous power dissipation. So we need to find out total power dissipation because of the AC as well as DC. So we need to find out. So this is the maximum instantaneous power dissipation which is given is of VCC into I. So you can see what is the maximum power dissipation. So maximum power dissipation, maximum power dissipation is structured. So this will be the maximum power dissipation. That will be equal to what? VCC into I. So this VCC into I, when it will happen? When there is no input signal. So for that instant, you will be getting the maximum power dissipation. So at the quiescent point, when the DC bias is operating at a quiescent point without any AC signal, so at that instant, whatever the power is dissipating, so that amount of power dissipation is mentioned as VCC into I. So that is nothing but instantaneous power dissipation, which is the maximum power dissipation that is applied when no input signal is applied. So for maximum, this is equal to power dissipation in transistor Q1 with no input signal applied. So this is nothing but a quiescent power dissipation. Quiescent power dissipation andre ಏನು? So when it is operated with the quiescent point such a way that it is selected Q point at exactly at the center of the load line. So at that instant, whatever the power dissipation is occurring without any input signal, so that is what the power dissipation that is called as instantaneous power dissipation, that is equal to that of quiescent power dissipation. So thus the emitter follower transistor dissipates the largest amount of power when V naught is equal to 0. That means what? So V is equal to 0 means obviously there will be no output signal, right? So instantaneous power signal. So V is equal to 0 means obviously there will be no output signal. So when output voltage is 0, so you will be getting the maximum output power dissipation. So maximum power dissipation. Since there is no input signal, can prolong the period of transistor over the time. So transistor Q1 can have continuous power dissipation of VCC into I. So if you are not applying input signal, that means you will be having a constant continuous power dissipation. That is nothing but a static power dissipation because of the transistor, because of the power supply itself. So that is about the power dissipation. So when extreme case of an output also, that means when you are going to have, so when RL is equal to infinity, in this case so the power dissipation of Q1 depends on the value of RL. So he is mentioning that the power dissipation depends upon the load resistance. So if we consider two extreme cases, that is when RL is equal to infinity and RL is minimum. So we are going to consider that what will be the power dissipation. So in that extreme cases, if you consider, so RL is equal to infinity at the conductor. In that case, IC1 will be equal to I. So that is a constant. That means the collector current. So the transistor Q1. So it will be the nothing but constant because of the constant bias circuit at the transistor of Q2. So because of that, the instantaneous power dissipation Q1 will depend on the instantaneous value of V0. So instantaneous value of V0 and instantaneous value of the Q1, that is power dissipation, will be dependent upon the output voltage. So maximum power dissipation will be equal to V0 will be equal to minus VCC. So that is during the negative extreme case, so you will be getting the minus VCC. So during the maximum power dissipation in the positive case is also instantaneous power dissipation VCC into I. So same way, so maximum power dissipation will occur for the negative power supply is equal to minus VCC. So for in this case, VC1 is maximum of 2 VCC and power dissipation is 2 times of VCCI. So in this case, during the positive cycle, it is VCC into I. For the negative off cycle, again VCC into I, you will be getting as the maximum power dissipation during the negative off cycle. In that case, so you will be getting total maximum power dissipation during the both positive and negative off cycle. For the total power dissipation will be equal to 2 times of VCC into I. So VCC I during the positive off cycle and during the negative off cycle VCC into I. So total power dissipation means VCC I minus of minus VCC into I. So we'll be getting what? So 2 times of VCC I is the total power dissipation. So that is going to occur for this class A amplifier. So class A amplifier will be having what? So it is going to have 2 times of VCC into I. So the same thing when RL is equal to infinity will be occurring this one. So when RL is equal to 0, so that means whenever the output is short circuited, so positive input voltage leads into an infinite load current because if the short circuit mode, right, so you are going to have an infinite current. That means maximum current that will be flowing from the power supply to the load if RL is equal to 0. So in that case, infinite amount of current will be flowing through the transistor Q1, and because of this, the transistor or the common emitter circuit is going to common emitter circuit will get destroyed, and because of this, which we need a circuit protection, short circuit protection when RL is equal to 0. So there is a need because RL plays a major role because RL can be between the infinity and 0. So if RL is equal to infinity, then you will be having the maximum power dissipation as 2 times of VI. Whereas when RL is equal to 0, short circuit, then you'll be exhibiting a short circuit power dissipation, and the infinite amount of current will be flowing across there. And because of this, we need a circuit which is going to be circuit we need a circuit which is going to resist this amount of current. So for that we need short circuit protection circuit. So the power dissipation in Q2. So in power dissipation in Q2 will be taken into account same as I told. So during the negative of cycle, so the maximum value of the current in VCE2 will be equal to 2 times of VCC into I. So this is the amount of maximum current. So maximum power dissipation during the negative of cycle is VCC into I, as well as the positive is also VCC into I. So that you will be getting the total power maximum power dissipation will be equal to 2 times of VCC into I. So now coming to the power conversion efficiency. So this is very important factor. So power conversion efficiency. So it is given as eta. So it is denoted as eta, power conversion efficiency. How much the power supplied to the load over the how much power delivered to the load over supply power. So load power divided by the supply power. So that gives the efficiency for a given circuit. So that is we need to find out. So what is the load power as well as the supply power. So okay. So what is efficiency, power efficiency? So that is the load power to the supply power. Whether you people are understanding? Whether my voice is audible? Hello, student.
Yes.
ಕೇಳಿಸ್ಕೊಂತ ಇದ್ದೀರೇನ್ರಾ?
ಹೌದು ಸರ್.
ಓಕೆ, ರಿಪ್ಲೈ ಮಾಡೋದು. Okay, leave it. Okay, so what is the efficiency? So power efficiency can be delivered as so load power to the supply power. So how much amount of load power with the supply power? So we are going to calculate. So load power is given by with the root mean square value. So assuming the output voltage is sinusoidal with a peak value of V naught cap. So V naught cap corresponds to the peak value, so is nothing but root mean square value. So for that we are going to find out the average load power. So first we need to find out what is load power delivered to the, because AC supply delivered to the load over DC supply to the load. So that is nothing but efficiency. So first we need to find out what is the AC power delivered to the load. So that is PL. So for that we have seen that what will be the maximum peak signal for the output voltage. So we are going to represent in terms of root mean square value. So V naught by root 2. So V naught will be the maximum amplitude. So divided by the root 2. So whole square. So we know that P square by V square by RL. So V square, the output voltage is denoted as V naught by root 2 whole square by RL. So that is the load resistance RL. So we will be getting 1 more 2 V naught square divided by RL. So this is with the power supply delivered to the load. So because of the AC signal power supply. So now the current in the transistor Q2 is constant, because the current in the Q2 is constant because it is acting like a constant current source. So power drawn from the negative power supply is VCC into I. So we know that. So we have already seen what is the, due to the negative power supply, what is the power supply. So that is VCC and average power drawn from the positive power supply is also VCC into I. So average current in Q1 is equal to I, right? So the average current, so that is power which is going to flow. So we know that total power supply which is given from the both transistor Q1 as well as transistor Q2 is VCCI into VCCI plus VCCI. So you'll be getting 2 times of VCCI as the supply power. So positive voltage, input voltage again. So what is the power delivered supplied? That is VCCI. And for the negative power supply which is delivered to the load, so is also minus of VCCI into I. So you'll be getting as what? So total power delivered. So we are not going to take it into sign into consideration. So it will be having 2 times of VCCI as the power supply delivered. So take out this ratio divided by this. So this gives the power conversion efficiency. So V naught square divided by RL. So V naught square divided by RL and 2RL. So V naught square divided by 2RL divided by 2 times of VCC into I. So you will be getting this as a circuit. So 1 by 4 into V naught square, V naught divided by I into RL. So V naught divided by VCC. So maximum output voltage can be reached up to what? So it can be reached up to VCC. So VCC I can substitute over here. Here also I can substitute VCC. So VCC square divided by VCC. So you'll be having the numerator VCC divided by I into RL. So maximum output load current can be achieved at most VCC. So you'll be having what? So here also you'll be having VCC. So numerator also VCC square, denominator also VCC square. So you'll be having VCC square divided by VCC square. So it will get cancelled and divided by 1 by 4 will be the efficiency, that is equal to 25%. So the output voltage will be always less than equal to VCC. That means the output voltage will be reaching maximum up to VCC and it will be never reaching up to VCC. So we know that. So VCC output voltage can be reached in the positive as well as negative. Whether my voice is audible? Okay, whether my voice is audible now?
Yes, sir. Now it's audible, sir.
Consider this one. Output voltage can be reached up to VCC and equal to 25%. So it will be never increase greater than 25. So in the practical circuit and all, so if we consider, so the efficiency will be ranges between 10 to 20%. So maximum in the common emitter for configuration, if you are going to consider, then you are going to have a maximum efficiency as 25%. Okay, so this is about the class A amplifier. So in order to increase the efficiency, we can go with a transformer coupled power amplifier. So in this transformer coupled power amplifiers, why we are going, because you can see this circuit. Okay, so I will just explain within 10 minutes. So in this case, the same as in the previous case which I have considered. So RC coupled amplifier. So same thing here also. I'm going to consider same emitter follower configuration. So you can see this is the emitter, common emitter. So or else you can consider it as a RC coupled amplifier. You can consider. So R1, R2. So it will be going to bias the current of transistor Q1, and through the coupling capacitor you are going to allow the input signal to be passed, so that coupling capacitor will block the DC signal sources and allow only the AC signal to voltage to pass over the at the input side. And across the load instead of RC, so which I have explained in the previous day class. Okay, so not today's class, in the previous day when I was explaining. So RC coupled amplifier, right? So in this case, if I am going to consider the circuit, so in this case, RB corresponds to what? R1 parallel R2. So whatever the equivalent resistance is there, that I have just mentioned over here, and RC acting as a load resistance. So the same thing here. So in place of RC, so load resistance, we are going to employ a transformer. Okay, so we are going to employ a resistance which is going to be comparable. So whenever we are going to consider the load resistance, so it will be in terms of ohms, right? Whereas when we are going to consider in the previous circuit, so if you are going to consider the previous circuit, in the previous circuit, if you consider, so what will be the resistance? So resistance which you are going to connect in this one, so we can consider, I'll just show. Okay, so in this case only we consider, so RC coupled amplifier, if I'm going to employ a collector resistance as a load resistance, so it will be in terms of what? So it will be in terms of kilo ohms, right? So if we are going to drive this to the another audio amplifier output, so whose resistance will be very much lesser, so it will be in terms of ohms. Okay, so whenever you are going to have output resistance of the amplifier as in terms ohms, there is impedance mismatching will take place. So whenever there is impedance mismatch take place, then you cannot able to transfer the maximum power to the output. So whenever you're going to have whenever you're going to have an impedance mismatch, so maximum power cannot be delivered. So in order to that in order to overcome this load resistance which is connected as a RC as a load in the for this power amplifier circuit, we are going for an inductor. So it is we are going to for a transformer which is going to have an inductor in between. So which is going to have a number of turns in the primary transformer as nothing but N1, and is going to have output voltage as V1 and I1 be the current that is flowing, and N2 will be the another transformer having number of turns and output current I2 and output voltage V2, which is connected to the load resistance as an audio amplifier output RL. So when we consider that here, so now we can able to match the output order. So the resistance offered over here is 2, and you can able to match the load resistance. So in the previous case, class A amplifier using the common emitter configuration or class A amplifier, which is also going to provide what? So it is going to provide a one full output cycle upon proper passing. Okay, so center of the load line, and the emitter follower configuration is also going to have a one full output voltage. So when you are going to have both same, so then the maximum power that is dissipation as a power is nothing but how much? It will be equal to 25%, right? So in order to overcome that drawback, in order to conversion efficiency, so for a given RC coupled amplifier, so you're going to employ a transformer as an output, so which is going to have output voltage V1, number of turns, and number of input turns, as well as N2 corresponds number of output turns, and you can increase the maximum conversion efficiency. Hello. Okay, since I have just come to college and I have just connected my mobile personal hotspot, so it has been become signal down. Okay, whether my voice is audible. So if that is the case, I'll just start with this transformer coupled amplifier. So whether my voice is audible or what?
Yes, sir.
Audible.
So okay.
Yes, sir.
Since the output in the previous case only collector resistance iತ್ತು, so it was not having a proper impedance matching was not going to happen between this collector resistance and the output load
Sir,
amplifier.
PPT is not visible.
It is not visible. This network connection ಹೋಗ್ತು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಎಲ್ಲದೂ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ. Okay, thank you. So when once where was it? So here you will be having some impedance mismatching will be there in the previous case in the class A amplifier. So in order to overcome that, so in order to proper impedance matching, if it is happen means still we can increase the efficiency of the class A amplifier. So we are going to do with using transformer coupled amplifier. So in the impedance mismatch with the impedance matching of the transformer with the load resistance, so what we are going to do is so V1 by V2. So this is nothing but V1 is the voltage across the transformer in primary winding of the transformer 1, and this is the transformer 2 output voltage. So input voltage as well as the corresponding output voltage. So V1 by V2 corresponds to primary and secondary voltage, and N1 and N2 corresponds to number of turns in the primary and secondary windings, and I1 and I2 corresponds to the current that is flowing inside the primary and secondary winding. So which will be equal to number of turns and number of secondary windings and number of turns in this primary winding. So this is the relation which you are going to see with the case of a transformer, right? So when you are going to have a primary and secondary, so you are going to have the relation between the number of windings and voltage and the current, number of winding with the current and number of voltage with the number of turns. So in that configurations we are going to see, so V1 by V2 will be equal to N1 by N2, so I1 by I2 will be equal to N2 by N1. So if you consider this, so what will be the voltage across V1 by I1. So V1 by I1. So V1 by I1 is nothing but the voltage, corresponding voltage and the current. So what we need to do is, so voltage R is equal to what? V by I. So in that case, what I'm going to do, so what is the resistance which is going to be offered over here? So that has to be matched to this load resistance. So using transformer coupled, so you're going to have this relation. So V1 by I1. So here they have made a mistake. Okay. So don't consider this as over. Okay. So V1 by I1 will be equal to N1 by N2 whole square into V2 by I2. So here it is same. So here it should be I1. Okay. Since V1 by I1 represent the effective load resistance RL dash, because here whatever the load resistance which we are connecting, it is nothing but effective load resistance RL dash, and whatever the load resistance which you are going to consider here, it is nothing but the actual load. Okay. So which is being connected to the actual load RL, so it is nothing but RL. So RL dash, load RL dash, and V2 by I2. So V2 by I2 corresponds to the actual load resistance RL. So that is nothing but the actual load resistance RL. So RL dash, so here I am just making it out. So V1 by I1 can be written as RL dash, and V2 by I2 I can write it as RL. So that what I am going to convey here is, so if I am going to match this resistance with the load resistance, so we are going to have this as the transformation factor. So N1 by N2 whole square it should be. So this is the relation that is going to have a impedance matching between the actual effective load resistance with the actual load resistance. So this is how we are going to do. So based upon this, so here we have just considered it as an ideal transformer. Okay, so whenever we are going to consider an ideal transformer, so what is the thing is that, so because of DC voltage, so when you are going to supply the DC voltage, what will happen during the DC operation? So forget about AC for a time being. So only consider about what will be the DC operation. So we need to find out what is the DC operation and what is the operating point. So we need to select the DC operating point. So when we are going to select the DC load line, how we are going to select the DC load line? So we are considering a transformer as an ideal transformer. So the resistance or the voltage will be zero. So V1 as well as V2. So there will be, ideally there will be no output voltage. So whenever there is no ideal output voltage, what will be the DC load line? So DC load line corresponds to what? Minus 1 over RL. So R will be equal to 0. So voltage develop agila andre DC voltage. So obviously the resistance will be equal to 0. So if resistance is equal to 0 means what will be the case of DC load line? So DC load line will be having infinity. So it will be going to have a infinity, and you will be having the output voltage to be equal to VCC, and you will be getting the dotted line. You can see here the dotted line corresponds to the DC load line. Since the transformer is ideal, so there will be no voltage, and you can see the DC load line will be vertical. So not at the will be vertical. So it is going to have operating point at Q on the select mode. ICQ, you are going to have the current that will be flowing. Whereas the DC load line, instead of minus 1 over RC, because R will be infinite, so we will be having from here we will be having the infinite, so infinite loop. So we are going to back and we are going to get the output voltage will be equal to VCC for a given operating Q point Q. So this is for the DC load line. For AC load line, what will happen? So in the for AC load line, so you are going to have VCC by RAC. So this is the resistance RAC you are going to have. So because of which you can see the negative resistance for a given for a given sinusoidal waveform, you will be getting a transforming action. So you are going to get the output load across this one. So you will be getting the minus VCC, that is VCC by RAC. So that is nothing but operating point which is going to have a negative power supply. This is a AC load line. So you will be having a AC load line over here. This is the AC load line, so similar to that of in RCA coupled amplifier, so which I am going to discuss in the next class, because already time up it's 11 o'clock. So next class we are having. So next tomorrow class I'll just discuss about this one. Okay, thank you. I'll just meet you in the next class. And Arif Nisar, whether you are there. Arif. Okay, thank you. I'll just meet you in the next class. Okay.
Thank you, sir.